Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to Sorbent's non-meta tournament number 7, all of the top deck profiles. So in this video we're just going to be going through all of the deck profiles who happen to get first place, and I'm on the wrong ban list actually, so let me go ahead and switch that. But in first place we have Bulbasaurus, so this is his deck list. He played Unchained. Honestly, it's just a really solid list. I think that obviously he did really well. I mean, he got first place. I think that there's not really a whole lot to say about his ratios: 3-3-3-2-2 or 2-1 for the one copy of Soul Disaster. I see some people playing this at 2 copies, but I think that's only because they play Desires. Obviously this deck isn't playing Desires, so I don't think it's necessary for him to play more than 1 copy. 3 copies of Abomination's Prison, just more consistency. 1 Wailing, and then 3 Prosperity, and 1 Storm because this card is limited in this format. 3 Escape, 3 Chamber, 3 Trap Trick, 3 Ice Dragon's Prison, 2 Strike, 3 Torrential, 3 Imperm. So honestly, super solid trap lineup. I don't think there's anything to say about that. Maybe like he could switch like one of these cards for like another Strike. I don't know what he would switch though. It's definitely kind of hard to say. I think that these were kind of like the last minute trap card, or at least the one that he cut the most, since obviously the rest of these are honestly like really good cards. Extra deck makes a lot of sense. It's just 1 Abomination, 3 Rage, 3 Anguish, 2 Unicorn, 2 Phoenix, 2 Cerberus, 1 Ding, 1 Lancelot. Nothing to say about that. For the side deck, he's playing 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, which like occasionally come up in this format. There's not really a whole lot of good like hand traps, since Ash and Gamma are both like kind of hit. Ash is at 0 in this format. I typed it wrong. Ash Blossom is banned in this format, and Side Frame Gamma is limited to 1 copy. As you can see right here, since they're both like super impactful cards. Same thing with Nibiru as well. Gamma Seal's back in the format, and he's running on a little bit of a Kaiju engine. I think that this is actually a really smart option, because a lot of the times in this non-meta tournament, there are decks that try and like make one big boss monster, and if you just Kaiju it, they kind of just lose. Even in the situations where they just make like a big like 2 or 3 negate board, you can just Kaiju one of them and you don't really have to deal with it. And then you can kind of play around the others. 1 Feather Duster, 3 copies of Storm Duster, and 2 copies of Paleozoic Dynamiscus. I think that this list is honestly very solid. Obviously the heavy Storm Duster is just for like other back row decks. You just opt to go first, and then you just blow them out in their end phase. It's like super good. Then going into the second place deck profile, this is Madicus' list. I talked about it a little bit in the previous video. And so if you are interested in watching like the finals match, you definitely should. I think that match was actually pretty good. So this is obviously his Burning Abyss list, and I think it makes a lot of sense to play a lot of like 1-ofs or 2-ofs in this deck, because you do kind of want to spread your BA names so that you make sure to get them on the field. So that's why he's probably playing like 1 copy of Alec, 1 copy of Barbar, 1 copy of Calcab, rather than playing like probably like 3 Barbar, because it's probably like the best one. I don't know, it's definitely hard to determine which of these 3 are like good ones, but they're also like really good utilities, so I guess that's why you'd also play 1 of each of them. 1 copy of BLS to search from the Chaos Space, because Chaos Space is still like insane, even though it's limited in this format, because I mean in general it's just an insane card, especially in this deck, because you can put back Dante or Beatrice and then you can make it again and get a free draw off of it. So like drawing Chaos Space in this deck is just the nuts. I don't think there's anything else to say about this. Backjack can be sent off of Beatrice. I don't really think that there's really too much else to say about that. One thing that I am surprised that he's not on is Shadal Ariel, because I think that there are occasionally the decks that like have really good graveyard potential. I feel like he should probably be siding 1 copy of Ariel, just so that like Beatrice can like send that and then just like triple DD Crow out of your opponent's grave. I think that would be a really good option. He might have just overlooked it or just not expected it, so I'm not sure. If he's in the comments, maybe he'll answer that question for me. I don't think there's anything else to say about this. He's playing a bunch of 2-ofs, and I think the reason for that is just because Trap Trick can give you a lot more utility. Because if you just played like 3 Ice Dragons Prison, 3 Torrential, rather than playing 2 like Heavy Storm Duster, 2 Ice Dragons, 2 Torrential, you'd miss out on the Heavy Storm Dusters, or I guess like you'd have to cut 1 of these, is what I'm saying. And so you have the extra utility of having 3 options rather than 2 options. So I think that playing the 2-ofs is actually a really smart plan on his part. Nothing really else to say about that. Lots of 1-ofs in the extra deck. I don't think there's anything to say about these really. I think that they're all pretty standard. I think that the Zeroboros, like the Topologics, Zeroboros and Trisbane, are definitely way more popular in this non-meta tournament because like being able to just banish your opponent's entire field can be absolutely clutch sometimes, especially in the TCG. So like doing it in the like non-meta tournament is just busted. But yeah, nothing else to say about that. I think that this is honestly pretty solid. I don't think that there's anything really necessary to be changed here. For the side deck, there's a whole bunch of one-ofs. So we have Pankratops, Feather Duster, Lightning Storm, Mind Control, and Red Reboot. I'm actually kind of surprised he's not on Red Geki. But I guess the idea behind this is that these like three do like back row, whereas like Mind Control and Pankratops can be a little more flexible. I think like Mind Control is more for like monsters, obviously. Obviously, but I think you could probably play Red Geki over Mind Control and have a better chance with it. My thought process here is because like the BA monsters die if you have a differently named card, so I think that Red Geki might be a little bit better than Mind Control personally, but that's just my personal opinion. I don't think there's really much else to say about that. 3 copies of Talents, 3 copies of Twin Twisters, 2 Fiend Griefing, 2 copies of Karma Cut. Karma Cut's literally just 2 more copies of Dynamiscus. Dynamiscus is just exponentially better in this deck, just because like having the discard not be cost is really good, because if they negate this, you just keep your hand advantage just fine. And also if they like do negate this, or if they don't negate this, obviously you get the banish, and then you get like a BA floating effect, which is super good. And it also comes back from the grave since you're playing a bunch of trap cards, so nothing else to say about that. Karma Cuts, you just play this because like it's just so good, especially going first against like the right deck. You just banish like their normal summon and then they just kind of lose. So I don't think there's anything else to really say about that. Let's go ahead and go into, I believe, Hexagon was the next place deck. He played Evil Twins. I think that I did a feature match on it, but I can't remember 100%. But this deck is actually really interesting, just being able to like basically bounce back Kissekil and Leela from the Link monsters. It's really interesting, especially because like you go through a lot of these very often. But I'm not like super certain on like how this deck works. I just know that like basically you want to get into Kissekil and Leela, and then you can just like basically just keep reborning the other one during the opponent's turn, and then one's like a draw, I think, and the other one's like a pop. I could be wrong though, I'm not 100% sure on that. Yeah, it looks like this one's the draw and this one is a destruction, which is pretty interesting. Then sometimes like you can obviously use like IP, get into like Zeroboros and a lot of other stuff. So this deck actually seems like really solid, and even playing like the Link Disciple, Link Devotee package is actually pretty good as well. Nothing really else to say about that. Looks like he's siding 3 copies of Forbidden Droplets, 1 Lightning Storm, Rainbow Neos, Verte, Neos Fusion, and Neos and Rainbow Dragon. So obviously this like package is just to go second, and then you just put 2 bodies on the field and just try an OTK. Because Rainbow Neos is insane, but we're still in the next format in SNMT7, Verte and Neos Fusion goes to 3, so we might see this a little more often. But yeah, 3 copies of Dark Hole. I'm actually kind of surprised that one of these isn't Raigeki. There might be like a float effect that I'm missing. I know that sometimes like dinosaurs play like Dark Hole because like you can like pop Baby Ceratosaurus and get like into Oviraptor really easy. Just like kind of like another way to get into your engine. I'm not sure if there's a similar thing going on here, but I don't see anything that has like a destruction effect. So I'm gonna say that definitely one of these should probably be a Raigeki. And then finally 3 copies of Judgment, just because obviously we're playing a bunch of traps. This deck kind of wants to go first. So in the situations where you're forced to go first, or you want to go first, like games 2 and 3, you sided these in obviously to play around your opponent's Lightning Storms and Feather Duster. Nothing else to really say about that. Let's go ahead and move on to Miko's list. He played Tri-Brigade Zodiac. So this is actually a really interesting list. This deck is actually like super good. One of the things that doesn't make this deck as good as like the TCG's version is because Appaloosa doesn't exist. I know that there's like a combo basically with like a Zoo and like a Tri-Brigade that you can get into like Appaloosa with like 3 negates and then like still have your Zoo engine online and have a like Tri-Brigade search. It's like insane. But I mean, this version still has like the Mist Valley package that you can infinitely negate stuff. It definitely did do like really good, obviously, But I don't think there's really much else to say about that. I think that this list is definitely like pretty solid of a list. I think that it might be a little weird that he's playing just one copy of Karis and 2 copies of Nerval. I don't know. I could be missing something, but I feel like the one you'd want to cut is like 1 copy of Kit, if anything, and then maybe like play 2 copies of Saris. So it's definitely kind of weird, but I do understand it. I'd also maybe like cut more of the Zoo engine just because like I think that like I don't know. I think that you definitely want to see more Tri-Brigade names than Zoo names personally, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure how to play this deck. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say about this. I think that this deck is pretty good. It's also kind of surprising he's not playing the like spell trap negate. Is that what it is? I don't remember the I think it's Oath, Tri-Brigade Oath. I'm not sure why he's not playing that. Maybe because he doesn't have access into a beast. I don't know. It's definitely kind of hard to say. He's also not on the Link to Ancient Warrior guy, which is a little weird. But yeah, and Union Carrier, funnily enough, is still in this format because, yeah, Miss Valley Infinite Negate stuff. But this is banned at the current moment. This was just right before the ban list, so yeah, just happened to go that way. I don't think there's anything to say about the side deck. It is pretty interesting that he is playing Cherries and no material. He's probably playing Cherries because he expected other people to be on the Infinite Negates, I would assume. So if he Cherries like Union Carrier or Cherries the Samorg, probably the Samorg most likely, then like they can Infinite Negate him. So I think that's actually a really neat little option, but I don't think that anyone else really wanted to play Infinite Negates, so I guess that I don't think this really came up. Same thing with no material, I guess. I don't think that this like has a whole lot of impact. I guess like a lot of the current decks. I know sometimes like BA puts like Dante up top, so like maybe no materialing that, and then they can't make Gravity Controller can matter sometimes, which means they can't get access into like Beatrice. So I guess like possibly that's like pretty nice. And then our last deck profile is from Kuchulain. He played Zefra Satellar Knights. So a pretty interesting list. It looks like he's honestly only on Deneb. It looks like Deneb can probably add like the scales, which is like pretty interesting. Because like obviously these are Zefra names and Satellar names, so I guess this is like a normal summon searcher that gets you access into Zefra Exciton and also Zefra Thubin, which is pretty interesting. So Zefra Satellars, pretty interesting deck, honestly. I mean, it got him into Top Cut. I think it's pretty cool. He's also on a little bit of a Dogmatica engine. Just being able to, you know, access some of your Dogmatica cards is pretty good. I think that Punishment is at 1 in this current format. Let me actually double check that because I can't remember if I put it back in SNMT7 or what. Punishment. It could currently... No, it is at 1. So I'm actually really... interested as to why he didn't play 1 copy. Probably just because it locks him out of his extra deck, which means he can't Pendulum Summon. So that's probably why. It is kind of a conflicting card. So maybe just adding like the Fleur for like another negate is probably a really smart option. So yeah. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys kind of understood how the deck works. Oh, it's actually really interesting. He's actually on Nirvana High Paladin. I actually didn't see that at first. That's actually pretty cool. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for today's video. It's a pretty interesting deck list here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will hopefully see you guys later for some non-meta tournament number 8 content. See ya.